Wow, we have a full packed room.
We not only have a full packed room, but I went walking outside and those booths are packed. The energy that is here, it's electric. It's almost as electric as my visit yesterday to Kumi University. And I know we'll talk about all sorts of stuff, but yesterday I had the privilege of going out to Kumi University and I got to spend time with about 65 computer scientists that were all developing new applications and learning about cloud technology. And they had great questions. They were asking about what it's like to be a startup. What do they have to do and learn to be part of the next generation of technologists that were out there? And I gotta say that same energy, Joanne, has been throughout this whole week of visits. I'm convicted that South Korea is poised for the rest of the world to take notice. And it's that energy that's going to be fun to see how we all deliver.
Thank you. Let me briefly explain about PSA to our audience in Korean, and then we'll jump into the questions. 올해 두 번째로 그 PS데이 서울에 와주셔서 감사드립니다. 작년에는 코엑스에서 행사를 했었고요. 작년에도 많은 분이 등록을 해주셨고 올해도 굉장히 많은 분이 참석을 해주셔서 굉장히 감사하다는 말씀을 드립니다. 작년과 마찬가지로 교육, 항공, 우주, 의료, 그다음에 연구, 또 뭐 그 외에 이제 정부기관이나 지자체 다양한 분야에 공익에 영향을 미치는 비즈니스에 관해서 폭넓게 이야기를 나누실 수 있는 장을 마련을 했습니다. 작년에는 그 클린트 크로저라고 그래서 이제 그 미국 우주군이죠. 우주군의 커맨더를 지니신 전직 클린트 장군께서 오셔서 대담을 해주셨는데요. 올해는 그 제프 크라츠라고 그 미국의 퍼블릭 섹터의 인더스트리를 총괄하시는 부사장님을 모시고 대담을 가지고자 합니다. 다양한 질문을 저희가 사전에 미리 받았고요. 그런 질문에 따라서 저희가 사전에 받은 질문을 제프 크라츠에게 질문을 드리면서 그 키노트를 이어나가도록 하겠습니다. Okay, Jeff. We have first question from your perspective as AWS Vice President, worldwide public sector, nonprofit, and industry sales. Which country is leading in digital innovation and specifically innovation in artificial intelligence in the public sector? Can you give us some examples?
Sure, but you're kind of asking me what's my favorite children of all the countries around the globe. So, but I will give you wonderful examples because we are seeing remarkable innovation across the regions, and especially in government, acting like a startup, education, modernizing the way that teachers teach, that students learn, nonprofits, whatever their mission is, aerospace and satellite, you mentioned with my partner in crime, Clint Crozier, and healthcare as well. So we're seeing digital modernization. So I'll give you a couple. Singapore is pioneering in new models and citizen services for smart city initiatives. If I jump across, I'll continue to spin the globe. In my country, the US government is using generative AI to minimize the potential for those that are not approved to enter into my country to be stopped and questioned. That's the Trusted Traveler Program. If you've gone through the airports, you've seen like Global Entry, TSA PreCheck, Sentry, Nexus, and others. United Kingdom, what they're doing with the National Health Service for early cancer detection. Taiwan, here more closely. Ministry of Finance is doing some amazing work with generative AI, looking at provisions and interpretations of tax activities. Massachusetts, they've completely modernized and migrated their tax authority over to AWS, and they're using generative AI to help find the insights. Not only is it a great service for spooling up and spooling down for cloud services for tax activities, but those that are needing it. But we're seeing it just around the globe. And especially with generative AI, governments continuing to see the amazing impact for citizen services. And agentic AI, very quickly. I'll even use here with SV Tech. That's doing amazing work taking low resolution satellite images using Bedrock and our other AI services. In fact, we have over 30 services for generative AI in the Seoul region, and we keep adding more and more. But they're using that in transportation and security. So around the globe, we're seeing agentic AI, generative AI moving at a very fast rate.
Yes. Considering the fact that we have more than 7,500 government organizations using AWS, I think those examples is only few. Probably we have plenty of more that we can share.
Well, absolutely. And what really strikes me is across the globe, they're solving practical problems that citizens expect. They're not just opportunities to showcase technology, but it's government responding to their customers and delivering that value.
Well, let me jump into next question. What underlying strategies are countries adopting to introduce AI and digital transformation for the public sector?
Well, there's a lot of trends going on right now, but I'll boil it down to three that are pretty consistent. The first is that every government's talking about data sovereignty, data residency, and we're working very closely around the globe to help organizations really deliver what we call strategic digital sovereignty. That allows a country, an organization, a university to maintain not only control over their data and security and compliance, resilience, of course, but to access that on global innovation networks that are going. The first big one is kind of off of that. It's data control without compromise. And countries we're seeing are increasingly adopting what we call our sovereign by design approach, which is different because, as you know, not every cloud provider starts with sovereignty when they start developing new services. We do. And that's paramount for AWS because we want to maintain verifiable control over the compliance and not only make sure we do that, but customers can verify it. It's their data. It's not ours. It's their data. And to have that assurance. For instance, we've seen that in the Smart Nations group. They've been spearheading a lot of Singapore's digital government transformation, the development. And in fact, they've migrated over 70% of the public government workloads to cloud. And they have very strong sovereignty laws, just like South Korea has. The second that I see is absolutely security and compliance. I've had the privilege of being here 13 years when we got started. And, you know, for public sector, we knew security was something we had to do on day zero. And we help countries as they build their AI and their digital transformation strategies to have those very robust security and compliance frameworks. In Germany and in the Nordics, we've worked with Borges Stuttgart Group, the European sixth largest exchange in the financial markets, very heavily regulated, especially with EU laws. And so we work with them and they've been able to recognize staggering success. They've migrated 63 terabytes of data over, 15% faster performance, and they're able to innovate even faster. And then the third side that we're seeing, and we're seeing it here in the meetings that we've had this week, is where nations are looking to scale through strategic partnership model. They're not just trying to do it themselves. While a country still wants to maintain the control over security, compliance, data, and we have over 300 security controls that they can go ahead and do this. What we've really wanted to do is partner with government and to help them accelerate. And we see that occurring here in South Korea, in India that I was just recently. Germany, AXA Germany, was been able to easily comply in a partnership model with government. They've been able to move their digital transformation. And so those three trends, especially the last one, which is important, partnering with government. And as we're working here with the highest level of government to make sure that we're not only compliant in meeting security needs, but I really think that Korea's approach is particularly sophisticated. $70 billion AI investment that the government has pledged to be in the top 3 AI governments around the globe. And I really think that Korea is asking the right questions. How do we build a world-class AI capabilities very quickly that serves Korean interests? But how do we build that in partnership?
Excellent. I think that a lot of governments are interested about transformation.
Yeah.
Whether it's AI transformation or data transformation, I mean, Korea is not an exception. So Korean governments are also interested in transformation as well.
Yeah.
So next question is, what unique capabilities does AWS bring to support government AI transformation? And how can we best take advantage of this in Korea?
Well, I'll go back to my favorite 3 number that's there. The first one is we offer the most comprehensive AI and machine learning platform available, period, end stop. And our approach of choice, because we do not believe that one CSP, one language model will solve everything in the world for every single customer, whether it's a startup or government or education, et cetera. And the foundational infrastructure that we have for generative AI, SageMaker, Bedrock, supporting multiple chipsets. Do you want our chipsets with Trainium? Do you want Intel? Do you want NVIDIA and others? And so the first part is to provide the broadest and deepest technology stack. And we're going to continue to invest in bringing that. The second is we've been doing it the longest. You know, when we think about what governments are, there is nothing that can dull the experience of working through massive data collections. And governments have a little bit of everything that they've got. And so our unique experience in citizen privacy down to the infrastructure with AWS Nitro, which provides the strongest security available for the foundation for AI workloads and digital transformation, is there. Our cybersecurity experts to help. The world's getting a little smaller with conductivity, and people want to do bad things. And so, again, we continue to innovate so that governments can access the full power of generative AI. And third, which I think is really important for Korea here, we're making unprecedented investments in this country. Since we launched the Seoul region in 2016, we've invested over $6.4 billion US, and we've committed even more that we're going to do ahead. But it's not just the investment in infrastructure. We've trained over 300,000 on AWS Cloud, not including the students that I got to see yesterday, but also our partner community, many of our sponsors that are here, to make sure that they are ready. So beyond just infrastructure and innovation and experience, we're continuing to invest in the long haul for Korea to be wildly successful.
That's quite amazing accomplishment, and very glad that we could invest more and more to Korea, not only training but also infrastructures, and that will really enhance Korea's capabilities in innovating new services for the citizens.
And I think on that part, one of the parts that's it's exciting to see, coming back as I travel, is the partnerships that continue to accelerate. That's not only in government, but the amazing success of Upstage. One of the startups that has just blossomed doing world-leading infrastructure, LLM, AI activities, and they're expanding around the globe. And so whether it's with the ministries to the startups and universities, the rest of the world's starting to take notice.
Yes. I'd like to talk a bit more about Korea's recent initiative about AI.
Yeah.
So next question is, Korea has set a clear vision to become one of the world's top 3 AI powerhouses. So what do you think is important for a country to be competitive with AI transformation, and what can AWS can do to make it success?
Well, first I want to go ahead and recognize that the vision to be, top 3 AI powerhouse, not only is it achievable, it's inspiring, and in some way I think Korea could get to top 1. Why settle for 3? Let's go for 1. That's there. I see a couple of core critical success factors, though, that are there. Absolutely, first is digital sovereignty. Having verifiable control over data, making sure not only access, encryption, and other activities. And we continue to work closely with government to make sure we meet and exceed all the compliance restrictions. And we've had some great work that's accomplished recently, especially over the life cycle, that's there. The second is the innovation velocity that's happening. And from that side, it's the speed at which you can move from concept or idea to really worldwide impact. I think Korea already has some natural advantages there, not only with government and trade and activities, but also the enterprises, amazing startups that want to go global in minutes, and we can do that. And that innovative private sector is moving so rapidly. Third is just the human capital. You need the talent to use all these amazing services. And the winning countries don't just look at technology, they look at talent. And it's one that has to have the continual investment in academia and other activities, in startups like here. And we see a bow wave of even more startups like Upstage to be successful globally. And then the fourth, of course, is the strategic partnership that has to be there. Korea's approach of working with global technology leaders while building the domestic capabilities, I think, is the winning solution. Our infrastructure, 38 regions around the globe, will continue to invest in here, but those other parts are critical for Korea to see the success of the top 3. But I'm optimistic they can get to number 1. We'll see.
Since we are running out of time, let me jump directly into the final questions. How can homegrown Korean talent companies or organizations like Upstage, Written, S Medical, KPBMA, and even MSIT innovate with the AWS? And how is AWS helping these Korean partners to scale internationally?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I love it because I used to be part of a startup before my career journey goes, and I wish I had even a sliver of what's available for the customers that you mentioned. We work closely with startups, like you mentioned, in a variety of different ways. One is we've got an amazing program called AWS Activate, and it's a program for startups in health techs, gov techs, ed techs, et cetera, that have credits, training, learning, technical assistance that's there. And anyone can start today. And in fact, we're seeing more and more startups start at the sophomore, junior year of college. They want to be the next Airbnb, the next Netflix, Expedia, or others that's out there. Upstage has built a world-class large language model, and we look forward to continuing as they expand in the United States and in other areas of financials. WRTN, they've created conversational AI that's going to do amazing work to help provide global initiatives. Ayers Medical as well, breakthrough in pharmaceuticals, not only used in hospitals here, but expanding. And so what we do in working with those organizations is not only help on the technology, but also on the business side. And so we have our Amazon partner network that helps. We have a public sector competency, which many partners have to help get going. It's a badge that they can do for government procurement. And across all of these, we're seeing a pattern. The pattern is not just a technology discussion, but how can we help build the business along with them? And it's inspiring to see so many new startups. I know we're running short on time, but I was in San Francisco the other day, meeting with a bunch of venture capitalists. And without asking, they asked me, what's going on in South Korea? We're seeing more come asking for those first, second rounds of funding. And it'll be inspiring to see what are the next upstage as they continue. The other ones that you mentioned go global in minutes technically, but also business and be successful.
Thank you. We've covered transformation, AI initiatives, startups, partners, and also innovations. There are a whole lot of things to be discussed, and we have a wonderful sessions in plan today, so we can have more detailed discussions later. But since time is up, I'd like to say thank you and also thank our audiences.
Wonderful to be back. The energy and the message that I get to carry, not only to corporate, being based out of Seattle, with the services teams and others, but to other governments. One of the beautiful part about public sector is very rarely do governments compete with governments. And the more that we can share what is happening here in South Korea with others, I think that becomes a wonderful opportunity to show how Korea is being progressive in getting into that top 3 of the world. So thanks for the opportunity and thanks for an amazing week. Thank you.
Appreciate that.